The Rebbe of the Rebbe, we just heard now the Sikha, how the Rebbe is talking and asking that we should learn the Hilchos Beis Abchira in the 3 weeks. We have today the honor to have a Choshev in German, Shuvi HaMelamdim in Cheder, Harav HaChosid, Harav Chaim, Borוך, הכהן, טייטלבוim, that come and learn Haloch and Hilchos Beis Abchira like the Rebbe of the Rebbe. Before we start learning, the Rebbe of the Rebbe is also should give tzedakah b'tzibur. On the tables there's pushkas. Everybody please put some tzedakah, should give tzedakah b'tzibur, so we can make the Rebbe say well. Harav Teitel, b'vakasha.
For this host. Okay, we're going to speak today about the height of the Beis HaMikdash, the Goiva. So before we get into the pilpul,
just before I forget, this shir is in memory in the schus of Abraham ben Donau.
We'll start off with just a Pashta Mishnah and the Halach and Rambam describing the building of the Beis HaMikdash, and then along the way we'll get distracted a bit and have a little pilpul. So the height of the Beis HaMikdash was 100 amas. And the Rambam describes what were these 100 amas used for. So the bottom 6 amas was a yasaid. It was completely sealed, there was nothing in there. Now, normally a foundation is underground. Here, the Mepharshim explain, since the Rambam is counting it, obviously this foundation was besides for whatever happened underground. There was 6 amas of completely sealed cement above ground. That was the first section of the height of the Beis HaMikdash, the Heichal. After that, you had 40 amas tall walls, which that was the hollow space of the regular room of the Mishkan, of the Beis HaMikdash. Then you start dealing with the roof. Here it gets a little confusing. It took 5 amas for them to build the roof. And the way it describes it is the first amma was kior, which was some fancy design. Kior comes from the word tzior as well somehow. It means they made it look beautiful, they designed it. That was the bottom amma of the roof. Then there was something called Beis Dilpa. Big machlekes amongst the Mepharshim what it meant. So we're going to stick to the Rambam for now. It was some sort of drainage system, and in case there was a leak from upstairs, we don't want it to chas v'shalom damage our fancy roof. So they made a hollow space that the water would go through and get spill away and shouldn't cause any damage. In the Mepharshim of the Rambam, someone there writes that and he says the name of his country, I saw bebate asarim, that they make the roofs like that to protect the roof from getting damaged. So here they didn't just do it by the top of the building, but even in the middle of the base of the Heichal, they did the same system. They had the bottom amma, which was kior, a fancy roof to see from below, 2 amas hollow, and then on top of that another roof to protect from above, which that was the regular roof. That was called tikra. So again, you have amma kior, 2 amas of Beis Dilpa, and amma of tikra. On top of the tikra was made from wood. You also needed to seal it. So they had some cement, an amma slab of cement, sid, all others, avanim, they say all these different things they used to completely smear the top of that. So that was the 5th amma. So again, let's summarize. You have kior, the bottom amma, which looked fancy. 2 amas hollow for the rain, for the water. Another amma called tikra, which was wooden beams on top of that. And then a amma of ma'aziva, it's called, which is like cement. Fine. After that, so we have 6 for the foundation, 40 for the chalal of the first floor, plus 5 for the roof altogether, so up to 51. 645 is 51. Now, the same thing pretty much repeats itself again on the next floor. So you have another 40 amas for the aliyah, which was just an empty room as far as I understand. Followed that, you have another roof. So you have to have another 5 amas there for kior, Beis Dilpa, tikra, and then maziva. So put another 45 on top of your 51. We're left with 45 and 51, 96. So we're missing 4 amas now. We've already done the whole Beis HaMikdash, so the Mishnah ends off with a machlekes really. What was the last 4 amas? One says 3 amas was a maika, a fence, or a wall around the side to stop people from falling off. And then the last amma was a zer, like a kol ha'arev, to stop the birds from landing. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, it was a 4 amma maika, and you don't count the zer. Whatever, that's a machlekes that we're not going to get into here. The Rambam passes like the Tanakama, that it's 3 amas maika, and then a 1 amma kol ha'arev. Okay, so that's the whole height. So it comes out, the actual structure of the Heichal was only 96 amas. The 4 top amas was just a little wall around the top. The building itself didn't go that high. Okay, that's that. So when discussing the Maika, there's a very big confusion. Why would there need to be a Maika in the top of the Beis HaMikdash? Who's about to fall down from there? What's it necessary for? So some people say it was just for the design. Maybe from the outside it made it look taller or something. But the other says it's for sure not the reason. Because this, although it's a Mishnah in Masechta Midas that describes that there was a Maika there, and it has a whole machlekes, whether it was 4 amas, whether it was 3 amas. The truth is it's based on a Sifri, which is Sifri in Parshas Kiseitze, describes on Pasuk Vasisa Maika Legagecha. Legagecha, he says L'Rabbeis Heichal. The Vasisa Maika, the Pasuk in Torah describing making a fence around any roof, is including not just the roof of anyone's home, but even the roof of the Heichal needed a Maika as well. So it has the gather of a Maika. And the Torah, when it describes a Maika, it's not for fancy, it's to stop people from falling down. So we must say that's the reason why in the Beis HaMikdash they needed a Maika as well. It was to prevent people from falling down. Now this is a big question. Some Achreinim asked the question, the Minchas Chinuch asks it, the Rogachover asks it. There's a Gemara, based on a Gemara in Chulin. It says in Chulin like this, that it brings the pasuk Vasisa Maika Gagecha Lashon Yachid. That seems to imply only when a person owns the house on his own, he needs to make a fence around the roof. How about two partners buy a house together? It seems to be that you're potter. So the Gemara continues, don't make that mistake. It says in the potter, and the reason for the fence is to stop people from falling. Makes no difference if you own it on your own, if you have partners. If so, the question is, why speak Lashon Yachid? Why say Vasisa Maika Gagecha? And there the answer comes to exclude Batei Knesios and Batei Medrashos. That a shul or a Beis HaMedrash don't need a Maika. So the Mefarshim will ask, if a shul, Beis HaMedrash, doesn't need a Maika, the Behechel, the Beis HaMikdash, shouldn't either need a Maika. Why is the Beis HaMikdash different than every shul that there is? Okay, so the Rogachover's answer goes as follows. When in Masechta Me'ilah, it describes how they built the Beis HaMikdash. And it says it was a big issue when they built the Beis HaMikdash. They need a lot of workers to do the work. And they had to pay the workers from the money that was donated for the Beis HaMikdash. People that donated money, instead of giving their money as chulin, what they would do is they'd be makdish their money and then give it over. So the Gizbarim, all the people collecting money for the Beis HaMikdash, had loads of hektish money, and they had to now start hiring people. So if they take a worker and they say, you'll build us a Beis HaMikdash, you'll give you some money from hektish, it looks like the person which receives that money from hektish, and he's not exchanging it for anything. It seems like that he's going to be. It looks like me'ilah when the worker takes it. So the Chachamim Gezer, you have to be paid the hektish on something, not on work. So how are they going to pay the workers? And they only have hektish money. So they decided they're only building the Mishka, they're building the Beis HaMikdash out of chulin, completely out of ordinary money. They borrowed huge amounts of money that were chulin. It wasn't made hektish for the Beis HaMikdash, and they began buying all the materials needed. They hired workers, promising to pay them later, but they didn't pay them a penny. And they did all of the work. And they built the entire Beis HaMikdash until the Beis HaMikdash was fully constructed as an ordinary building, not even a Beis HaMikdash. Afterwards, they took all of the hektish money that was donated for the Beis HaMikdash, and they say that this beautiful house should be in exchange for all of this money, and the kedusha of the money went on to the Beis HaMikdash, and then the money became chulin again, and they paid back all their loans, and they paid all their workers. So again, they were paida the hektish money only after the Beis HaMikdash was fully built. They did not spend the hektish money throughout the construction. And they didn't pay the workers with the hektish money. So the Rogachover, based on this Gemara in Me'ilah, says that since when the Beis HaMikdash was first built, it was an ordinary house, therefore, and he connects this with one more din. There's also then it says that when a person will make a bayis chadash, then vasisa Maika Gagecha. And the Sifri learns that when it says chadash, it means b'shas chidushay. When it's built, the chayiv of making a Maika exists. It's not only when you move into the house, that's when you have to build a Maika. When you build the house, that's when you have to make a Maika. So when they built the Beis HaMikdash, it was an ordinary house, b'shas chidushay, that a chayiv to make a Maika. That's the way the Rogachover explains this. Okay, the Rebbe has three big questions on this answer. Tzarech iyun gadol. Question number one, the Rebbe puts only in a footnote. I don't know why. He says the ikar question. That this Sifri that says b'shas chidushay is not la halacha. It's not mentioned anywhere in Rambam. So that's a problem. Secondly, let's say we can accept this as if we were to accept this as the halacha, that it has to, if it's chulin b'shas chidushay, maybe you should need to have a Maika. So the Rebbe says like this. The reason why a house needs a Maika is because a person may fall from it. The reason why a shul is potter from a Maika is not because it's a holy place. The reason why a shul is potter, there's two explanations given in the Mefarshim. Or Rashi right there actually says both reasons. One reason is because it has no bailim. A shul has no bailim. A second reason is because no one lives in it. It's not a makim diro. It's only for davening. It's not a place to live. So that starts off the first reason. According to the explanation that it's for a house, that a shul is not, that the reason why a place is potter is because it's not a place, there's no owner. The Beis HaMikdash also didn't belong to a specific person. It belonged to all the Yidden. And if no one is specifically owned it, so why would you be chayiv to put a maika in the Beis HaMikdash. Even if you built a chulin, if it wasn't built for a specific person to live in it, no ish prati was going to live in it. There was no one, it wasn't made for anyone specific. So why then is it going to be chayiv in a maika? Second of all, when a person buys a shul, when a person builds a shul from scratch, we say for sure it does not need a maika. What about if a person buys an ordinary house and converts it into a shul? Does that house need a maika? So the Rebbe says, the Meiser Rav, look around, the chayiv of a maika goes away when it turns into a shul. And if so, back to our Beis HaMikdash, even if, let's say, that the fact that it was made chulin should be a reason to make a potter, but the moment it's turned into a Beis HaMikdash, it should right away be mafkia, it should take away the chayiv to build a maika. So anyhow, the Rebbe says that doesn't explain why the Beis HaMikdash need a maika. So going on, the Rebbe says like this: there's differences between a shul and the Beis HaMikdash. In the Rashi there in Chulin, at the end of Chulin, it says that when a person builds a house, you can't be mechayiv a specific person. When a person builds a shul, you can't be mechayiv a specific person to make a maika, because it's not only his, it also belongs to the Yidden living me'ever layam. It belongs to all the Yidden in the world. And the Rebbe says that it's a unique din, that although it's the people of that city that paid for it, it's the people of that city that are building it, but in truth, it doesn't belong to them at all. In truth, it's not their shul. It's the shul that belongs to all the Yidden, and all the Yidden have rights in that shul. And then there gets into the people. Although we see Lagabe Hilchas Nidarim, for example, that there are specific connections with each shul to their city, and Hilchas Mezuzah and Hilchas Negaim, there's connections to the city, but that's because they have a kinyan haguf. But Lagabe rights to live in it, Dira, all Yidden are exactly equal. And therefore, you cannot be mechayev this group of Yidden to build a maika, which is to prevent people from falling, which means to protect people living in it, when the people who have rights to live in it is everyone. So you can't be mechayev one person to fulfill this chayv for another person. That's why, by a shul, there's no chiyuv to make a maika. However, when it comes to the Beis HaMikdash, here, first of all, we find when the Mokim HaMikdash was bought by David HaMelech from Aravna Yevusi, he made sure to collect money from every single shevet. That means that every shevet not only had rights to enter the Beis HaMikdash, but they also paid for it. In addition, we find by the Mishkan, when it was built, there was two Beis HaMishkan, every Yid contributed. So too, there says, Mistaber, by the Beis HaMikdash, every Yid contributed to the building of the Beis HaMikdash. So therefore, the Yid in here don't just have rights to live in it, but they also have a shutfus, an ownership of it, that they all paid for it. And even though when you give something Beis HaMikdash, it has to be given over yafa to the tzibur, we know from Parshas Kayach that Moshe Rabbeinu David, Al Teifen Al Manchasom, that there's a chelik of their chelik in the carbon talmud should not be accepted by Hashem, which means even though the carbon talmud is belonging to all, even though the Yidden have to give over the money fully, but since all Yidden pay the Matzah Shekel, everyone contributes to it, every Yidden still has a chelik in it. So to the Beis HaMikdash, since all Yidden paid for it, it is every single Yid's home, so to speak. He has a shutfus in the ownership of it. Therefore, the Rebbe says, a shul is potter, al pi halacha, from having a maika, because there is no owner, it belongs to everyone, even those who didn't contribute to that shul. The Beis HaMikdash, every Yid's a shutaf in the ownership of the Beis HaMikdash, and therefore, there has to be a maika. The Rebbe says, but what do you mean? I can't live in it. Yisrael is also to go into the Beis HaMikdash. It's my house. How can I'm a shutaf, I own it, I can't go inside it. How can it be my house? The Rebbe says, not a problem. In halacha, there's a terminology, Aryeh Hudrevi Alei. That means that there's a line blocking him from entering, but it's still yours. If a line would enter your own house and you can't get in, you still own the house. Here, the Isser Minatera to enter the Heichel is blocking you from entering, but it's still yours. And the Chayv to build a Maika still applies to every Jew. Now, the Rebbe says in the footnote there that Alpiza comes out that when it comes to building the whole Beis HaMikdash, there's a Chiyuv also Mikdash. When it comes to building the Maika, there's a double Chiyuv. There's a Chiyuv for every Yid to build a Beis HaMikdash, and the Chayv for every Yid to build a Maika, because it's their house. So you have the chayv to build a maika of the Beis HaMikdash, the chayv that really applies to every single person. A double mitzvah when they build this chelik of the roof of the heichel. Now, the next question comes up, okay, fine. Lagabe Bailos, we found that every Yid's a owner, they're shutfos. Just like regular shutfim are able to, two people own a house, they have to build maika. All Yidden build a house, they have to make a maika. How about the problem that nobody lives in it? Who lives in the Beis HaMikdash? Nobody. You're not allowed to. Even the Kohanim, not really allowed to go there for no reason. So, the answer is based on the din and hilchas sukkah. In Sukkah we see that the definition of Mokim Dira or Diras Keva, Taishvu Ke'in Taduru, is primarily when it comes to Achila, eating. The place where you eat is the place where you live. Now we know that in the Karbanis, the Kachei HaKadoshim have to be eaten in the Azar. Now the Azar is not the Heichal, so it's still not necessarily a good answer. So in this, the Gemara describes there's a machlekes that says in one pasuk, "V'kedesh kadashim teyachel." Another pasuk says, "V'chatzar el meid yechalua." And the Gemara's explanation is that l'chatchila you eat it v'chatzar el meid. But in a case of shas hadchak, for example, if there's listim that come and they block the azar and no one's able to enter, then you have a chayiv and a mitzvah to eat the kachik kadashim in the heichal. That's the way there's a brayso that's brought down in the Gemara like this. So the Rebbe says that since you have a chayiv to eat the kachik kadashim in the heichal, that's a makim diras kva for a person. So not like in a shul, people are not allowed to eat in a shul. So in a shul, you're not allowed to eat. That's not makim beis dira, potter from a maike. Here the beis hamikdash, it's a makim dira. The kohanim, if it's a shas hadchak, had a chiyuv to eat. They've asked, but some beis hamikdashes, there's a t'nai, and a Talmud Chacham is allowed to eat in a shul. They says it's only because it's aray. Here, the reason the kohanim had to eat in the shas hadchak in the heichel was not because aray. It was mitzad the mitzvah, and mitzvah say achshave. So the moment there's a mitzvah, it's a kavua, and if it's kavua, it's a makim dira, and therefore it's mechuyev in a maika. Anyhow, that's the beer al pinigla, the way the Rebbe gives how side there's bailim because all you did are shutfim. Side it's a base dira because the kohanim in a shas hadchak would have to eat kachik kadashim in the heichel, and therefore there's a chayv to make a maika. Now, this all is al-pi technical nigla. Sometimes when you give another completely different perspective, it gives a very refreshing, it makes life a lot simpler. There's a whole other answer that Rebbe offers from here as well. That's based on the famous pasuk, Magid Devarav Le'Yaakov Chulkov Mishpatav L'Yisrael. Before we confuse whether the Yidden are the owners of the Beis HaMikdash, or the Shutvos, or the all Yidden combined, the Pashas, like the Rambam starts off saying that the Beis HaMikdash is what's called a Bayis La Hashem. It's really Hashem's home. And the way an Eibusher lives in this house is a Makim Kavua. And therefore, the pasuk says, "Magad dvar v'Yaakov chukom mishpatav l'Yisrael." That mashu hu aiso aimer l'Yisrael lases. So if Hashem tells us to make a maika, obviously He Himself has the chayv also to make a maika. And when Hashem is instructing us to make the Beis Hamikdash on His behalf, He's going to require us to do the mitzvahs that He's required to do in this house. So therefore, just like when it comes to the mitzvah of a person, when a Yid builds a house, he has to chayv to make a maika. When Hashem makes His house, He has to prevent anyone from falling off. He has to ask us to make a mic on His behalf. And Hashem is the Bakim Dira, and Hashem is the Bailim, so there's no issues at all. There's a chayv of making a, what's it called? A chayv of making a maika. Just one last, an extra minute here. L'gabi the mitzvah of mezuzah, the Chassam Sefer says, Punkt Vakar. He describes why the Beis HaMikdash did not need a mezuzah. A mezuzah is to say that the Eibusher is on his house, but the Beis HaMikdash, the entire house, the house belongs to Hashem. So, I'll piece out here also, it's Hashem's house, like why is there these mitzvahs? The very way differentiates how the idea of a mezuzah and a mic are very different in what they're meant to accomplish. And since the Yidden use the Beis HaMikdash, therefore, like a person which has guests using his house, he has to have the mic for their guests. Hashem has to have the mic for us, which uses Beis HaMikdash. And therefore, yeah, we know that there's a famous medrash that says that when the Melech HaMashiach will be revealed, it will stand al gag Beis HaMikdash and be machriz hanavim megius man gulaschem. So we should be zeicher, should we take it from Yad Mamish.
I want to just use this opportunity. If anybody has a siyum mesechte, please don't be shy. We still have some openings.